I've always done sketches, and I must say, that's what helped modern painting become mainstream, a part of life. Because in those days, modern art was a bête noire.
Les Grandes Dames de l'Art is a series of podcasts produced by Aware, archives of women artists, research and exhibitions, in partnership with the INA, with the support of Maison Veuve Clicquot and the Ministry of Culture. Great women of art.
Les Grandes Dames de l'Art.
The great women of art.
Les Grandes Dames de l'Art.
The podcast Les Grandes Dames de l'Art, Great Women of Art, gives a voice to women artists of the 20th century. They talk about their work, their life, the world around them, and their achievements. Let us search for their presence and their secrets. Let us rediscover the hidden stories of women artists through their voices. Let's carry on exploring 1920s Paris by listening to Sonia Delaunay's voice. She was born in 1885 in Ukraine and was raised by her uncle in Saint Petersburg in an artistic community. She studied art in Karlsruhe, Germany, and then decided to move to Paris when she was 20, convinced by the importance of the city. There, she met a German gallery owner, Willem Ude. She married him in 1908 and divorced him soon after that, before meeting Robert Delaunay. They got married, moved to Madrid, and then to Portugal until 1920 when they came back to Paris. For years, Sonia was in Robert's shadow, even though they did everything together. For example, in 1911 they founded Orphism, a pictorial movement known for its use of bright colours and geometrical shapes. Sonia had her own life. She painted and created many decorative art objects and textiles. She even opened an interior design boutique called Casa Sonia, and later on the Boutique Simultanée, the simultaneous boutique, in collaboration with fashion designer Jacques I for the 1925 International Decorative Arts Exhibition. She was an important figure in the art world. In 1946, she co-founded the Salon des Réalités Nouvelles, the Salon of New Realities. Robert Delaunay died in 1941, bringing Sonia to move to Grasse until the end of the war. In 1964, a retrospective of her work was organized at the Louvre. She was one of the first women to have a retrospective of this scale presented during her lifetime. Sonia Delaunay's voice is first heard on the radio in July 1948, at the age of 63. She is interviewed by Georges Charensol for the program L'Art et la Vie, Art and Life. In February 1954, the same Georges Charensol invites her back on the program to discuss the beginnings of abstraction in 1917. She is now 69.
There is a part of abstract art that developed from here. It's the constructivist aspect, the focus on color, where color itself is the subject. Personally, I see abstract art as a passage of visual education, if you will, of visual development that will take us to a totally unexpected and very rich expressions.
It's only from 1967, when the National Modern Art Museum presents a first retrospective of her work, that her importance as an artist is actually re-evaluated. This is an opportunity for Georges Charensol to present her work once again, this time on the program L'Art Vivant, Living Art. His questions are about her work and her pictorial choices. It's from then on that Sonia Delaunay, at the age of 82, is actually recognized as an artist in her own right.
It confirms what Delaunay used to say: I found an occupation which allows each of us to express our own personality. And he would refer to the two of us. So he always acknowledged it. What I tried to develop and to express in my later paintings is that color has a life of its own. And I believe that's the great breakthrough we made. We discovered that color speaks. As you would with words, you can make poetry with colors, because every color has a life of its own.
Before you met Robert Delaunay, you were already known as a painter, and you had done extremely bold experiments in the fields of what is commonly called decorative art. Have you continued those experiments?
Before I met him, I was more into expressionism. I was influenced by Van Gogh and by Gauguin. That was in my youth, when I was single. But decorative art came later, and partly to earn our living. A fabric manufacturer from Lyon commissioned me to create 50 designs at once. I was a bit at a loss, then I decided to do them as color studies.
On television, Sonia Delaunay is lengthily interviewed on the show Voir 67 on Sunday, 24th December 1967. Here, she is afforded the place she deserves as an artist and explains her research on building shapes with color.
Simultaneous contrast, that was Chevreul's theory, that opposing colors have slower vibrations, but they are expressed with greater violence, while intermediate colors create a dissonance. They have quicker vibrations. For example, blue and green create a dissonance. Orange with red is a dissonance, but black and white is a contrast, or blue and orange is a contrast.
On the program D'un jour à l'autre, From One Day to the Next, Sonia Delaunay looks back at her career and her relation to her contemporaries, as well as the influence of painters such as Van Gogh and Gauguin. She stresses the fact that despite these influences, she has always been herself, autonomous and independent. She distances herself from her husband's thinking. He was the intellectual in their relationship, while she was busy dreaming.
Earlier on, we looked up at the old painters, well, the older ones, such as Gauguin, Van Gogh, Renoir, Cézanne, whom we loved and respected, which young people today don't necessarily, but we were always ourselves. Personally, in my early works, I strived to express myself, the need I had to convey the vision I had of a face, just as I had it, with the colors as I wanted them, regardless. Then I got turned off. I put them away, and for more than 20 years, I didn't even look at them. It turned out that later, when I saw them again, I found it wasn't bad. But you see, the great mystery of it all is that we were always ourselves. Still, I was directly influenced by Van Gogh, very much so, and by Gauguin, because I loved them a lot. But it stops there, you see. And then we tried to go further. Now, Delaunay, that's different. Delaunay used to like the neo-impressionists. He was more influenced by Seurat. And he would try new things. He experimented a great deal with his city series. He was a cubist until he did La Ville de Paris, the city of Paris. He was more cerebral, if you will. He was more into theory. I was not at all. I was driven by feelings. I needed a force pushing to express itself. But he helped me with his discipline at work, because I might have got lost in this absolute freedom. But he had such work discipline, such a will to progress, and painting was all his life, which might not have been my case had I been on my own. So it trained me, it gave me a line of conduct as well. I lived very much in my dreams. I would daydream all the time, and Delaunay would reprimand me for it. You're always dreaming. But dreaming has helped me to live, because we had a tough life. We had huge financial difficulties when our source of income stopped. And yet, I lived, I dreamt, I carried on. I dreamt my husband was a great painter, and I was right. It may have helped him.
More astonishing is her appearance on the show Quatre Temps, 4 Moments, on the 9th of December 1968, a variety show on primetime television, produced by Michel Arnaud. This show has an original concept, decorating the set with the artist's paintings. She is interviewed by the singer Jacques Dutronc in the Galerie du XXe siècle. Sonia is 83, the only woman artist to be invited on the program, and seems amused by this incongruous situation. She is wearing one of her headbands, and her work is on the walls behind them.
Sonia Delaunay, hello.
Hello.
I am very, very, very honored to meet you at last, because I only knew your paintings, some of your works.
And I knew your songs.
What I'd like to ask you first, how do you explain that there are so few female painters, and even fewer with some real influence? They have not changed anything for most of them.
Well, they haven't changed anything, but the quality of their painting is better than most men's.
You think so?
Yeah, because they're more conscientious. Yeah, I say that because I exhibited some works in a female painter's salon for 2 years. They invited me, and I was surprised by the quality.
Jacques Dutronc then asks her about the abstract dresses she started designing in 1913. Sonia explains that thanks to these dresses, abstract and modern painting have entered everyday life.
Yes, I've always changed everything around me.
When was the first dress?
The first one was in 1913, and I told Dutronc that I had made it with men's suit samples that my husband had brought home for me. And I wore it. No one was shocked. I started making dresses. I've always done sketches. And I must say, that's what helped modern painting become mainstream, a part of life, because in those days, modern art was a bête noire.
Radioscopie by Jacques Chancel is dedicated to her on the 22nd December 1975 and broadcast on Christmas Day. This is an opportunity for Sonia to talk about her relationship with Robert Delaunay. They were a mythical couple in modern art's history, but contrary to what one might think, Sonia never sacrificed her career for her husband. Rather, she insists on the fact they did everything together.
You know that you belong to the great generation of painters? Are you aware of it? Or is it something you would rather not talk about?
Listen, I never looked at things that way. I know it and feel it, but I never talk about it, because I always want to talk about my husband. Yes, I myself cannot define my art, but I know what I want to do, and I follow his principles.
Don't you think that you sacrificed yourself a bit in relation to your husband?
No, not at all. No, we really work together, you know. I have quite a different personality, and yet we always got along. We were always together.
Coordinated by Mathilde Croix with the Aware team, directed by Élodie Royer, music by Juliano Gilles, credits and sound editing Basile Beaucaire, research advisors Catherine Gonard and Véronique Jolivet, French voice Camille Morino, English voice Éléonore Bess, translation of the artist voice Eve Der. If you enjoyed this podcast, rate, review, and follow us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever else you get your podcasts.